Greetings, everyone. I'm Louise McCormick from the Plymouth Historical Society. We thank you for joining us today for the Memories of Plymouth program. This is Season 3, not 1, not 2, but 3, 2019. For the past 2 seasons, we've brought you folks from the area who are willing to share, accepted our invitation, and willing to share memories of the town. Some people were born here, were educated here in the surrounding areas, worked here, socialized here, one or all of the above. Each time we interview somebody, it reminds us what a community is, how important it is, and how we can take part. Today we're pleased to have Rose Zimmer with us. Rose, thank you for joining us and accepting my invitation. Some people may not, but you have. Thank you, thank you.
Nice to be here.
We're excited to learn about your stories, your memories, your times in Plymouth and the surrounding areas. You went to school in Ashland
And Holderness.
and Holderness, so we look forward to that. We have a series of questions that I'm going to be asking you today, and some are so, just in case the folks don't know you, is there anyone in this town that doesn't know Rose Zimmer? I'm not sure, but we're going to find out. So they're identifying questions like your full name, your husband, your family, your parents, etc. And then we'll move on to topics of the area of Plymouth, your stories, my stories, our stories. Are you ready?
All right,
Okay,
I'll try.
Okay. Please state your complete name.
I'm Rose Pearl Avery Zimmer.
Rose Pearl Avery Zimmer. It's a long one. When were you, I'm not supposed to ask when were you born. Maybe I should. When were you born? And then the audience will have to figure out how old you are.
I was born in April 3rd, 1929.
Oh, so
in
let's
the
see.
Depression era.
So you will be 90 years. You will be 90 years old in just a couple of weeks.
That's right.
Happy birthday! Happy birthday! That's great. That's great. How many years have you been a resident of Holderness?
I'm a native.
All right.
It's just 3 months that when I was first married that we lived in West Ossipee.
Oh. And why? How did your family come to Holderness?
When I was born, we were there. I mean,
That's a good enough answer.
You know, it was always Holderness. Of course, my folks were from Rumney and areas, and
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. What are your parents' names?
my father was Frank Lewis Avery. My mother was Stella Maud Smith. Of course, then when she married Dad, it would change to Avery.
And their occupations?
Mother was a housewife. Dad was a laborer.
How many children did they have?
They had 19.
Say that one more time again.
19.
19 children.
I
19
didn't
children.
learn about the first one until my daughter-in-law Donna was doing genealogy, and she found out that there was a baby born before my brother Morris, who was 23 years older than I am.
Wow. You're taking my breath away right there. 19 children. Oh my
Oh
goodness.
gosh, yes.
There's something special about your name, though. Rose.
Yes, Aunt Rose was my father's sister, and I guess I was named after her.
All right.
And as far as Pearl, I don't know.
All right. And then you had another sister who was also a flower.
Violet. My
Violet.
sister Violet, who survived the fire.
You talk about the fire. Would you share the fire with the audience?
Yes,
Because some may not know.
I can.
Okay.
And if I'm wrong on some of the things, they find the marker over in Trinity Cemetery.
All right.
And it was in March 1931. And at that time, 7 of my 6 brothers and 1 sister passed away in the fire.
And the fire took place where?
On Mount Prospect
Mount Prospect.
Road
That's where you were living at the time.
at that time.
Do we ever know what caused the fire?
No, I guess it was just, one of those things that, like where you burn wood, evidently something.
Wow, devastating.
Yes.
Devastating. How old were you?
I wasn't quite 2.
2 years
And
old.
see, that was March, and I was born, my birthday, I would have been 2 years old.
All right. So you have
About a week later.
You have no memory of the fire?
Not really, not really. It's just what people have told me,
And what are you in the succession of the siblings? Are you the oldest, in the middle?
I had thought I was the 16th child, but I guess I'm the 17th.
Got it. I'm putting it together now.
Excuse me.
Thank you, thank you. So number of siblings. The children that you and Bill have, how many?
We had 6.
6 children.
My baby was born. She kicked, but she never breathed.
Oh,
it was
why?
something I evidently caught in the early months of pregnancy. And where we'd had 5 children, all healthy and everything, there was no cause to think that there was something wrong, I guess.
Wow. So she was the baby
Yes.
of the group. And we have your oldest daughter with us today.
Yes, Linda,
Correct,
my
Linda?
daughter Linda Levesque is with me today. And thank goodness, because I've been sick ever since she's been here.
Oh, what did you bring with you? You've been educated in several places.
Yes.
All right, let's talk about your education if we
I
can.
was my whole 8 years in the little car school over in Holderness, which was just down about, I don't think it was a mile.
Wow, wow.
And because we used to walk to school. And I had Nina Taylor for 7 years.
As your teacher.
Myrtle Craig from Quincy, she was for 1 year.
Would anybody have needed other transportation other than walking? If I lived farther, 2 miles
Yes.
away, at that time, would I have walked to school still? Or was there another mode?
No, I think the farmer girls, I almost think that their parents might have brought them. And then, of course, there was the Greenleaf girls, which is way up in Holderness. I think it's called New Discovery or something. I'm not sure.
Wow. And was it a one-room schoolhouse?
It was a one-room
One
schoolhouse, and they taught all
Grades.
all 8th grades. Was
So-
taught by one teacher.
Wow, wow. There are a few folks that we've interviewed that have been in similar situations because it's that long ago. One person even said he might have been in first grade, but he was listening to somebody over there and getting his studies in 5th grade. He learned a great deal that way.
And I'm sure people know Donald Young, who was the chief of police here.
Sure.
Of course, he was in the school with me, but I was down in the lower grades, and he was up in the 8th grade, 7th or 8th grade, so.
Can you name some of your classmates that we might know that were in your class way back when at the car school?
There was Mary Faye Thompson. Benton. She married a Benton from up to Thornton, Campton area. And of course, Donnie Thibodeau. I don't know if people would know him, but I don't know exactly where he moved to.
Wow.
And of course, and Doris Thibodeau. And,
Is Norm Smith on that list?
oh yes, I forgot Norman Smith, but he was when the Elm School connected with the car school for 1 year. They came down. Then I guess the population grew, so they went back to the Elm School.
Split off. What was your favorite subject?
Let's see. At that time, it was probably math, but since then, I love to read.
That's what you shared. I'm jumping a little bit, but today, if I went to your house, what would I find you doing? What do you enjoy doing now that you've been retired for a few years?
Reading.
Reading. Anything special? Any genre?
No, anything that's there. You know, I happen to pick up a book, and if I don't get interested in the first chapter, it goes.
This is good. This is good. All right. I was going to ask, of all your teachers, over there? Was there a favorite teacher, but you just had one or two?
Yeah, I only had that. And of course, Nina Taylor, she really, by having her for 7 years, I would say she must have been my favorite.
All right, that's a good one. I like that response. I do. We went to school in Plymouth, correct, for a short period of time for high school?
I came by bus to Plymouth High School.
Okay.
No, I've always been in Holderness.
But you went there, and then we moved to Ashland
Then
as
I went
well.
to Ashland. Because the bus came by. I used to ride with Avery Davis to Plymouth High School, and so I went there a half year. Then the bus mother made connections, so I went to Ashland High School.
Was Ashland closer to home than Plymouth?
Well, I'm 6 miles also.
Okay, from here, there.
Yeah.
Who were some of the teachers that you had at the high school, to see if we've had them?
Up here I had Mrs. Garland
Mrs. Garland?
and Mrs. Porter.
Mrs. Potter?
Yeah.
Yes, I had her too. We put our hands up. And your daughter had her too, as I see right now.
Oh, yeah.
During the short time that you were at Plymouth, were you involved in any extracurriculars?
No, I didn't, because being out in the country and mother didn't drive. And until I turned 16,
Wow.
I was the driver. I taught my brother Tom how to drive, who didn't drive. We always walked.
Okay, all right. I'm moving into Ashland. What are your memories of Ashland High School?
I remember how the Gray girls, they were so friendly. They came right up to me, and they just always stuck in my mind. And Patricia Gray, who is Provenza, she's still with us, and we play cards together when when they have the card games and everything. So we're still quite friendly.
It must be a concern of everybody when they go from 8th grade to high school and they move into another building. Will I be accepted? And these girls embraced you from the beginning.
Right from the beginning.
Very fun.
All of them. They were very, very nice. There was 3 of them. But Pat was, of course, my age, and she stuck with me more.
Nice. Your occupations, what have you done in the past? And if we can take you back, I'd go there first. What jobs
Would
did
you like me to tell you my first job?
Sure.
I was an usherette.
Excuse me?
An usherette
Uh-huh.
down here at the Plymouth Theater.
Oh my gosh.
I used to have my flashlight, take people down to the aisles, seat them.
I can remember going to the movie theater there, but I cannot remember an usherette.
No.
Can you give us the era that was in?
Well, it must have been because I would have been probably 15 or so.
Sure.
So it would have been the early 40s.
Who would have been the manager? Can you do that? If you can't,
Sheriff
fine.
Graves, I think.
Sheriff Graves.
Right.
Oh my gosh. All right. And I remember the name, but who would it have been who was in charge? My era would have been Mac Keniston, I think. Keniston, I think it was.
Probably.
He would be the one that would put the film loops on, and if anybody misbehaved, I think he walked up and down. That's my memory. Oh my gosh, Sheriff Graves. Interesting. Was there a film that ever stuck with you?
Well, there was one. It was, oh Lordy. Now that slipped my mind.
That's all right.
But I do remember my father going, and I think it was Meet Me in St. Louis. My father, he liked it so well that they went all 4 nights.
That's so cool.
At that time, they had a car.
Wow. I'm trying to remake who was in this. Come on. The 4 sisters that were in it. I'll have to think.
June was June Ellison. Linda's the one who knows all the movies.
Judy Garland. All right, we're coming there. A classic, a classic. They could never make that better. Never make that better.
No.
No, that's a great one. Thank you for doing that. Again, let's continue if we can. Another job that you had?
And then I worked for Ruby Davidson. My first paycheck was $14 for 7 days. If I wanted to stay down, it would have been $7 because you know, you had to pay your board.
Oh my. So they would have invited you and said, live with us here.
Yeah.
We'll pay you less money.
Because I worked at the Holderness Inn, which is now the Science Center.
And what did you do?
I was a chambermaid, and I had to. And if I didn't have enough chambermaid work, they put me somewhere else.
Was it a busy place during this time?
Yes, it was.
This is in the 40s?
Yeah.
All right, all right. And so the type of client that they would have, tourists,
Yeah.
I'm assuming, coming to the lake for the summer.
Yes.
Interesting, interesting. You've taken me back a little bit. You have, you have. Keep going. You worked other places.
Then of course I did work at the Ashland paper mill.
Wow.
And then when I got married and started having children, I didn't work until Larry, which was the youngest, was in school. And then who did I go for?
I have a note, if you want me to refer to the notes. Sure, if I look down here, it says Norm Perry Lamp Factory?
Yes, I worked for Norman Perry Lamps, and then I worked for Plymouth Stitching and Reale Mirrors, which was down in Norman Perry Factory, which is now the Plymouth Regional Senior Center.
That will relate to some people. Norman Perry's Lamp Factory, they actually made lamps from scratch?
Beautiful lamps.
Wow.
Expensive lamps.
How long did that factory go for? Was it there for a few decades, do we
think? It was there for a long time. And then, of course, he sold the business to Reale Mirror, and then Reale Mirror moved over to, which is Trapper Brown's on 175.
By Holderness Central School today?
No.
No, 175.
Up going towards Campton.
Right.
Across from the trailer park. And that closed. And then I worked for Occasions, which was a food company. And after that, I was done.
You retired?
The only thing I worked for was four ladies. I was a companion to them. You know, I'd take them where they wanted to go and different things.
Busy life.
That's it. I do not work. I did, let's see, I would go out and play cards with elderly people.
I'm going to use that term, elderly. Am I elderly? Don't you answer.
And of course I would take them out also for you know, if they needed to go somewhere.
That's great.
Some just like to go for a ride, and of course when I get into the car and going, oh, beautiful day, I don't mind. I just keep going. As I say to some of my friends that are in the car, I said, be a great day to drive out to Linda's. Don't take me 8 hours.
Yes, I was just going to say for the audience, Linda lives in New York.
Yes.
You drive today?
Yes, I do. And I just got my new driver's license. I just went down and passed it with flying colors.
Congratulations, and that's a big deal when we're 90 years old. Could you share a little bit about your car? I saw it one day and I thought, wow.
Yes, well, I'll tell you about my baby. I was out to Linda's, and of course I've always said, after my husband passed, because he didn't want one, that I was going to have a convertible. So I told her, I said, this year I'm going to have a convertible. She said, oh, I've heard that so many times. I said, I'm going to. I said, this is the year I'm going to buy one. We were driving along, and she says, Ma, look at that convertible. And I said, yeah. And she went out and looked around, and she said, it's not a bad price. And I says, well, we tried it out. I bought it. I bought it.
Where were you at that time?
We were in, what was that town? Arkport?
Oh, Dansville.
Oh, it was in Dansville, is where I bought the car? Okay.
Okay.
And so I bought it. And of course I couldn't bring it home, so I had to come home and register it, and then we went back again in 2 weeks, picked her up.
Huh?
And it's a 94 Mustang convertible, white with red interior.
It fits you, Rose. It does, it does, it does. Thank you for doing that. Let's switch over. We're going to ask you a lot of questions about the area itself, and then just come back to me.
Mm-hmm.
All right? A couple words are fine, or you can go further than that. What are your reflections? What are your memories of living, going to school in Ashland maybe? Let's see, shopping in Ashland. We're limited a little bit in shopping in Holderness, shopping in Plymouth. What memories do you have about Plymouth, Holderness, Ashland? What stores might come into mind? Maybe that's the easier one to start off with.
Yeah, let's see. There was, I think it was the Miles hardware store. And then, of course, I used to shop a lot at Madeline Smaha's.
Oh, on the corner.
On the corner.
Was Miles, we're talking Miles being in the same block, the Sargent block?
In that block.
All right, Sargent block.
Yeah, and there was a lot of the stores, and of course Richardson's, which I guess is not there anymore.
That's correct.
About the only one that's there is Plymouth Furniture.
That's correct.
And I still shop there today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's neat, thank you. That, for the audience, that entire block, Sargent block, is pretty much gone. Mm-hmm. Pretty much gone, mm-hmm. Yeah. Actually, Mason built it and Sargent bought it. There we go, thank you. Ashland, is there a store or two that you'd like to mention because you can see yourself walking into it?
Pee-wee's. They always called it. It was Pee-wee's little market right on the corner, which now has the Meredith Village Savings Bank.
All right. Wow. Mm-hmm.
And of course, Pee-wee was such a fine person. Anybody who knew Pee-wee from down at Ashland, he was a clown, and he always was great in the parades and things.
Okay. What was his real name?
I don't know.
I'm taking back the question. I'll take it back. All right. That sounds great. Any of the following affect you for childhood memories? Fairs. Did you ever go to a fair as a
yes,
child?
I've gone to Plymouth Fair a few times, but like I say, we were a large family, and Dad was a laborer and Mother a housewife, so we didn't go to too many fairs. Mm-hmm. But we always went to Sandwich, which was over in the.
It's one of the few that are
near
surviving still.
And everything. I'm sure everyone knows where Sandwich Fair is.
I go every year.
And it's still today.
Yeah, it's still an agricultural fair, even though it's on a small basis. It's one of the few opportunities that kids get to see the cows and the chickens and the rabbits. And yeah, that's great. Weather. If I said to you weather, is there anything that comes to mind with all of your years? I mean, we have typical winter. Look what we're having right now.
Oh, I know it.
When is it going to leave us? But do you remember any hurricanes, tornadoes, cold like we've never seen it, the bounty of snow?
This winter almost seems like the old-fashioned winters that we used to have, that you was like driving through a tunnel. And I remember how my sister and we used to get out, and you'd build a fort in the banks, you know? Yeah.
My next door neighbors were doing that the other day.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
building the foundation right now, so it's like this. And I thought, oh my, this is so cute. It's so cute. Are there events in your life that you can remember exactly where you were? And they're probably traumatic events. I mean, I have 2 or 3 that I could mention that peers my age would say exactly the same thing.
When I was down at Plymouth stitching, working in the cafeteria for occasions, it was the day the Challenger blew up. I broke down and cried because Krista McCulloch was ours.
Wow,
you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. We cannot forget. You're absolutely right. Yeah, and a teacher. And a teacher.
And a teacher, that's right.
Yeah, you're right, you're right. Anything else?
And of course, the day President Kennedy was shot.
Yeah.
You know, and that was a sad experience also.
I'll go to a happy one. How about the Man on the Moon? Did you ever think
Oh,
we would have
yes.
a Man on the Moon?
When we worked for Norman Perry, Norman Perry's was like a little family. You know, it would be just like us sitting here. We're all family. And they shut right down and let us go right over. They brought in a small TV so that we could all sit there and watch it.
That's neat.
So we saw them step on the moon.
That's a good thought to end on. Are there people in the town, be it Holderness or Ashland or Plymouth, that have affected you over the years, that meant something to you? Well, it could be a positive, negative, I guess, never thought of that. But somebody that meant something to you.
Well, you know, because I had worked for Ruby Davidson, I think I thought a lot of her. She was strict. You had to be precise when you made the beds and all this and that. But I think she taught me well.
So she had a way of doing things, and you had to do it her way.
Yes.
But it was the right way, probably.
The right way, yes. And as I told you, I didn't do just beds and things, because when I wasn't busy, I also had to iron. And I learned how to iron, I'll tell you.
Today we don't
no
have
wrinkles.
We don't have to iron today very much with the materials that we have made, but when it was cotton, you had to worry about it.
I still iron.
Let's see. Oh, how about let's make it a little bit more personal. Is there someone in your family that you've connected to? You had a very large family. But is there somebody within the family that somehow your heart goes out to them?
Well, my brother Tom was quite an influence because, you know, he was about 15 years older than I am. And then, of course, my brother John, who got terribly burned in the fire.
Was John older than you or younger than you?
Oh, John was much older.
Much older.
Much older. Right. He was along with, well, he would probably be about 20 years or more older than I am.
Wow. Wow.
And he was, and he got terribly burned, and he was bad. He was fine until they went to draft him, and he was 4F, and he thought he was no good. And from then on, he just deteriorated.
He was 4F, classified. Why?
Because he had no fingerprints from the fire.
From the fire.
And one of his ears was gone.
All right.
And of course, he must have had scars and things. And he just deteriorated. He was considered, I guess you call him, a hermit. But he was, and I always felt bad for him because, and then and my brother Tom took care of him after Mother died. And Tom was always, he was kind of like a mentor to me too.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
So he took care of me until I got married.
Okay. And then you started taking care of everybody.
Yes,
it seems like. If I asked you, do you have a best friend, who might it be? And it could be more than one, but what's a best friend for you?
Well, it used to be Millie Ricker. And she worked here for the college. Right. She was I guess they called it custodian. And every day on her way home from work, she'd stop and visit with me. Yeah, we had, and after she passed, I really missed her. And then, of course, my sister was one of my best friends.
That's beautiful.
And today, I guess you'd call Carol Goodwin and Shirley Stanchivas, which is and of course, last but not least, is my best friend sitting right over there.
Your daughter. That is so special. That's really nice. That is nice. When you were a kid, was there a special activity that you enjoyed, just really enjoyed doing?
No, not really. It just seemed like, you all got together, because I didn't have to worry about friends, playmates, because I had brothers.
You had so many.
I had lots of brothers, so
That's
we
neat.
always had playmates. But there was always seemed like people at the house.
That sounds great. That sounds great. Do you have, if I brought up World War II, if I brought up Korea, Afghanistan. What does that mean to you?
Well, my three brothers were in World War II. And my brother Tom was in the Philippines. My brother Arthur, I think, was the Philippines also. My brother Jimmy went to the European era.
And they all made it back home?
Oh, yes.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
And then your sons, were they affiliated with the service?
Tony was with National Guard. He was Vietnam, and Philip went to Germany.
Wow. All right.
And then a grandson is Kuwait, I think. Wow. I think John Fouts, I think he went to Kuwait.
Wow. And every time they're gone, what do you think? As a mother, as a grandmother, as a sibling, when they're out of sight?
You hope, the Lord, they make it back home.
That's right.
Safe and not affected by all that they see.
Thank you. Thank you. Yep. Thank you for sharing that. I have one, and we can move on this or not, but can you remember any times in your life that there was a political upheaval? And that could be something happening locally in our towns. It could be something state-wise or national that you remember. It bothered you a lot. And maybe nothing comes to mind.
No, that doesn't come to mind.
All right. No, that sounds, sometimes I get an answer for this and sometimes I don't. Industries have come and gone. Stores have come and gone. Let's talk about some of the stores that you were excited to see come to town or you were disappointed when they left. What is no longer here?
Oh my.
Walk the main street.
Well,
you walk the main street. Yep.
There was, Main Street used to be Adams Supermarket.
Yep.
And then, of course, the First National has gone, which those were good stores to shop at. You know, because you always have to have food.
Did you ever know that we had an A&P here?
Yes, I believe we did.
I just saw a picture of it the other day. So again, I said to myself, what does A&P stand for? Atlantic and Pacific. I didn't know that. So I was learning. So we had A&P, First National, and Adams's, relatively close to each other, right opposite the Common on the main street. And today we don't have a large grocery store at all on the main street.
No, we don't. You have to go up Tenny Mountain Highway.
Let's see. If I, let's see, outside of grocery stores, other things that have come and gone, our upcoming exhibit at the Plymouth Historic Society is Lost Plymouth. Businesses, hotels, restaurants that are no longer here but once were. And we had chatted a little bit, and you could remember Louis Francisco's.
Yes, he had the bowling alley, which is now the Plymouth Regional Senior Center.
All right.
And way back when they used to set up pins, my husband worked as a pin boy, I guess that's what you call.
Wow.
He set up the pins.
So it wasn't mechanized at that time?
Not at that time.
All right. And then from there, Louis went over to Holderness. And he must have taken the same bowling alleys with him. I have no idea.
I don't remember, but I have gone down there bowling a few times. I'm not a good bowler.
Small balls, big balls?
Small balls.
Small balls. I do remember that. Any other, you just brought up moving out to West Plymouth. It has changed the dynamics of our community. Everything was on the main street. Now the major stores are out on Tenny Mountain Highway.
Yeah, about, let's see, Rand's are about an old store that is still there. And
1908.
Yeah, and I don't think, Saliba's, of course, is gone, I believe. Yeah, the shoe store. Yeah.
Yep, both the men and women's store that was there.
Yeah.
What was it?
Woolworths,
Newberry's.
Newberry's, of course. Yeah,
Hundreds.
I hated to see that one go.
That was tough. Hundreds of people that walked in and out, going down to the first floor, going down to up to the main floor.
And then you're losing the fountain.
Oh, the
counter.
How many people had lunch there per day?
Oh my.
Who served? What were some of the people that actually served you the luncheon item?
Amanda Logan.
Mandy Logan. We can do this.
I can remember her.
That's great. That's great. Do you have an artifact to share with us today?
Yes,
Yeah.
I would like to show you this. This is 6 generations, and my daughter-in-law, Donna, made this for me, and it's called Mothers and Daughters.
Very cool.
And this is my grandmother, and this is my mother.
Slow down. And who is your grandmother?
Let's see, she is Nettie Maud Willie, and my mother was Stella Maud Smith, and of course me, Rose Pearl Avery. And this is my daughter, Linda Rose Zimmer, my daughter over there, and she is now Levesque.
Okay.
And this is my granddaughter, which is Michelle Nicole Levesque, and my great-granddaughter, Leah Rose Levesque. And I think Leah was named after me.
How many great-grandchildren do you have?
Well, counting into marriages, I have 29.
I just got a chill. I can't help it. I'm sorry.
Well, you know, some of them married with children,
Uh-huh.
and I still count them as my grandchildren.
Interesting.
So I have 13 grandchildren of my own, though. They, let's see, Tony had 3, Linda had 2, Philip had 3, and Lou had Frank. We always called him Lou, but Frank, he had 3, and Larry had 2.
Wow. Wow. You're very lucky. You're very lucky. The numbers are incredible. Rose, when did you first vote?
I voted when President John Kennedy was running, and I have voted some since, but not very often, I'll tell you.
Why did you have to feel compelled or just wanted to vote for?
I just felt that he was going to do right by us, and I think if he'd had a second term, things would have been different.
Wow.
I don't know, but I think it would have been.
Interesting. Rose, we're starting to tune down a little bit. Are there more stories that you'd like to share, something that we haven't captured today?
I don't. Well, I did tell you, I can tell you how I met my husband.
Please do.
I was an usherette, and I met him at the theater hall.
Cute. So
Yes,
cute.
and he used to come down through, and he said he'd bump into me on purpose. And he said, "You were just so stuck up."
Oh.
I wasn't. I was not stuck up. I used to think he knew it all.
I wish we had a picture of you and Bill. When I saw it, I said, what a gorgeous couple. What a gorgeous couple. I was, wow. And Bill has been gone how long?
Bill has been gone. This September, it will be 19 years.
It's a long time
Yes.
to love somebody and care for somebody and then don't
Yeah.
have them there. Wow. Wow.
I just still feel he's here, right here.
That's all right. If we had a group of people in front of us now, and well, let's go to teenagers, 15, 16, 17, 18 years of age. Because of your wisdom, because of the number of years that you've been here on this earth, what might you say to these people?
Well, that is a hard question. I would tell them to, when they're in school, to really pay attention, study, because it means so much to really put everything into it, and trust in God, and I really, it's really a hard question.
It is. You have to
Yeah.
think about it.
And just be kind. Just be kind to other people. I mean, it doesn't matter what anybody's religion or their race is. We're all God's children, and that's my philosophy, and that's what I I believe in, and it's brought me this far.
It's done pretty well then. That's what I would say.
And I will tell you, I've been diagnosed with lung cancer, and I've had people praying for me, and I have done no treatments, because at my age, I feel that I'm going to live my life out the way it is.
Are you a stubborn old coot?
No, no.
Yes, I think she is. I think she is, to get this far and to be so positive. You're one of the most positive people that I've been blessed to know.
And you know, with me, with so much death in my family, and losing three sons and a daughter, that you know what death is. I've known what death is since I was 2 years old.
Wow.
So
wow.
You have to put your trust in God, and that's what you should all think of. At least think of God.
Well said. I couldn't have said it better. Well said. On an average day, talk me through what you do. Sometimes I know you read when you get a chance, but what's the typical day like for you today?
Well,
yeah.
Oh, my friends and the clubs and things that I'm with, I'm not very I'm very active. Let's put it that way. I don't have much time to myself.
That's great.
And I still do my own housework, and if I feel like it. If I don't, I sit and read a book.
What clubs do you belong?
I belong to the Ashland Rebecca Lodge. I belong to the Holderness Historical Society, Plymouth Regional Senior Center, and I also belong to the Baker Pemmy Senior Club.
Wow. And you still find time to pick up your friends and go for a little ride here and there?
Oh, definitely.
That's great. That is great. You're amazing. You're absolutely amazing.
Linda and I went to, what did we go, 100 and something miles yesterday?
Yes.
Just driving?
Just driving around.
Back roads. I'm just learning the back roads. We do that every once in a while.
We went to Enfield and wound up in Andover.
In Andover. All right. I want to thank you. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure knowing you. We met last year in October, I think probably for the first time.
Yes.
Yeah, we've chatted a little bit here and there, but to go backwards, and you're just a tad older than I am.
Oh, quite a bit.
All right, I'm being type of thing.
Thank you, dear.
I'm getting to know you, and I hope that when I'm your age and beyond, that I have the same level of positivity. That's not even a word. How positive you are, and how busy you are. Your life appears to be so active because there are people around you all the time, be it your children, children, relatives, and friends. Friends are a gift. Yes. Friends are a gift. They really are. So I'm going to say thank you one more time. All right. I love touching you.
No, I'm not that way. It doesn't bother me.
All right. Thank you, Rose.
Okay.
People, thank you for joining us today. It's the first episode of the Memories of Plymouth. And I think my pitch last year will be the same as it's going to be this year. We realize how important the stories are that we've shared today. Even if they're just family stories or community stories, they need to be shared and shared. What I think I'd like to say at the end is, please continue. As a person in the Historical Society, we receive boxes of pictures, and we're finding out that thank you for the donations. Oftentimes the pictures they're not identified, and we don't know what the event is taking place, and we don't have a year. So when you're doing it for your family, I want to say take out that album, and some of you are cringing. I don't have any albums, because in the world of technology that we have today, we've been saving everything we have on this thing here. Take out the albums, look on the back, and see if there's a date. If it's a Kodak picture, and that's what I've been doing lately, Kodak in the 60s had the dates on them. The pictures today that we get back oftentimes do not. So please date them, and if there was a reason why the group of people got together, tell the story. And I was telling so-and-so the same thing the other day, went to his office, I picked a picture on the wall. he turned it around and he said, "Ha ha." And the story was on the back of the picture that he can share with the next generation. So please consider doing that. So until we see you again, thank you for joining us today. The program that we have will be uploaded probably in the next few days on our PVT TV station that's been hosting this. Thank you very much. It is on Facebook. It will be on our website. So if you want to review it, it will say Memories of Plymouth and hopefully the name of the person that's being interviewed for the day. Would you like to be interviewed? Thank you.